Once, a disciple asked his master, "Master, how can I triumph in life?" The master replied, "By making the right decisions." The disciple thought carefully, then asked, "But how do I learn to make the right decisions?" The master said calmly, "With wisdom." Finally, the disciple admitted, "But master, I do not yet have wisdom. How do I gain it?" The master answered, "By making the wrong decisions." This short exchange reveals the paradox of wisdom. It cannot be inherited instantly, only earned through experience. Franklin understood this truth as he stumbled through failures, turning errors into lessons that sharpened his character. Lincoln embodied it by enduring defeat after defeat, never wasting mistakes, but converting them into strength. Wisdom is not a crown placed on the head. It is a scar carved on the soul. Wisdom is forged in the fire of mistakes, because wrong decisions teach us what comfort never will. Franklin once pursued ventures that collapsed, but each failure added clarity to his vision. Lincoln lost elections and faced ridicule, but each loss refined his judgment. Wrong turns teach more than easy roads. The wise man is not the one who never falls, but the one who refuses to waste the fall. Wisdom grows slowly, like roots pressing through stone, invisible at first, yet unbreakable over time. Franklin cultivated wisdom through daily reflection, writing down his faults instead of hiding them. Lincoln cultivated wisdom through silence, listening more than he spoke, weighing words with care. Wisdom is patience in action, demanding that we slow down and truly see. It does not shout. It whispers lessons for those willing to pause and learn. Wisdom is the marriage of knowledge and humility. Franklin gained knowledge from books and experiments, but humility from admitting mistakes publicly. Lincoln gained knowledge from law and leadership, but humility from failures that softened his pride. Knowledge without humility becomes arrogance. Humility without knowledge becomes weakness. Wisdom unites them, guiding action with balance. The wise are never those who claim to know all things, but those who remain students forever. The disciple-as story reminds us that every error carries the seed of insight if we choose to plant it. Franklin did not see mistakes as shame, but as tuition paid for wisdom's school. Lincoln saw mistakes as burdens heavy to carry, yet necessary to bear for future strength. The wise man does not curse his errors. He redeems them. Every wrong decision becomes a teacher when viewed through the eyes of perseverance. Wisdom is not built in silence alone, but tested in action. Franklin applied wisdom by serving others, building libraries, institutions, and ideas greater than himself. Lincoln applied wisdom by leading a nation through chaos, often choosing painful paths to secure a greater good. Theory without action remains empty. Wisdom lives only when applied. The wise do not only think differently, they act differently, guided by lessons carved through trial and error. Wisdom also requires courage, because it often demands choices unpopular or misunderstood. Franklin was wise enough to challenge old powers, risking reputation for liberty's sake. Lincoln was wise enough to hold firm on emancipation, though pressured by critics on every side. Wisdom does not always bring applause. Often it brings isolation. Yet the wise endure this cost, knowing that truth is worth more than temporary approval. Wisdom is courage clothed in discernment. Wisdom is inseparable from time, for only time allows reflection to ripen into clarity. Franklin's lifelong journals became reservoirs of wisdom, each page a lesson in progress. Lincoln's speeches were not quick improvisations, but fruits of deep reflection over years of hardship. Time is wisdom's ally, not its enemy. Quick answers fade, but thoughtful wisdom endures. The wise invest in time as carefully as they invest in words and deeds. Wisdom transforms leaders into servants. Franklin's wisdom led him to see leadership as service, not dominance. Lincoln's wisdom guided him to carry others' burdens as if they were his own. True wisdom does not seek power for control, but for responsibility. The wise know authority is not a weapon, but a stewardship. Wisdom makes men humble enough to listen, strong enough to act, and kind enough to remember humanity in every decision. Wisdom is not perfection, it is growth. Franklin never claimed to be flawless, only to be a man improving steadily. Lincoln never claimed to be a prophet, only a man learning painfully through trial. Wisdom does not erase mistakes, but redeems them. The wise are not without scars, they are shaped by them. Wisdom proves that even broken paths can lead to destiny when walked with humility and strength. Wisdom is practical. Franklin taught that wisdom without usefulness is wasted, so he turned insight into inventions that served communities. Lincoln taught that wisdom without justice is hollow, so he applied it to laws that freed the oppressed. The wise do not live only in thought, they live in practice. Wisdom transforms dreams into tools and principles into progress. The test of wisdom is not brilliance, but usefulness. Wisdom is eternal because it outlives the one who carries it. Franklin's wisdom in civic institutions continues to shape education and science. Lincoln's wisdom in justice and freedom continues to guide democracy worldwide. Your wisdom, however small, will outlive you too. Every lesson shared becomes inheritance for others. The disciples' story reminds us that wisdom is not only personal, it is generational. The wrong decisions you redeem today may save another tomorrow. Wisdom is not built on victories alone, but often on the ashes of defeats that force deeper reflection. Franklin endured ridicule when his experiments failed, yet each setback refined his methods. Lincoln endured humiliation in public debates, yet each loss sharpened his understanding of human nature. Wisdom does not hide from loss. It grows within it. Every defeat carries a hidden seed of growth for the humble heart. Wisdom teaches us to value silence as much as speech, because reflection often reveals what noise conceals. Franklin learned to pause before reacting, letting his temper cool before choosing his words. Lincoln's silence was legendary, a silence not of emptiness, but of deep listening. The wise know that rushing to speak often leads to regret. Silence is not weakness. It is the soil where discernment grows strong. Wisdom also demands discernment between temporary discomfort and permanent consequence. Franklin knew the sting of rejection, but recognized it as fleeting compared to truth's permanence. Lincoln carried the burden of unpopular decisions, knowing they would one day be judged as right by history. Wisdom discerns that pain is temporary, but cowardice leaves scars that last forever. The wise endure temporary discomfort to secure eternal meaning. Wisdom reshapes the way we view failure, teaching us that falling is not the end, but the beginning. Franklin once said that mistakes are simply stepping stones toward improvement. Lincoln lived this truth by transforming defeats into preparation for greater victories. Wisdom reframes failure from shame into instruction. The wise see every collapse as raw material for building something stronger, brighter, more enduring. Wisdom is not passive acceptance, but active transformation. Franklin transformed adversity into innovation, turning curiosity into inventions that serve generations. Lincoln transformed pain into leadership, guiding a divided nation toward unity and justice. Wisdom does not stop at observation. It demands creation. The wise take what is broken and transform it into something greater, proving that scars can illuminate paths once darkened. Wisdom recognizes that the greatest battles are often internal, not external. Franklin wrestled with his own habits, striving for moral perfection by tracking daily faults. Lincoln wrestled with despair, battling depression that threatened to crush him, yet transforming it into empathy for others. Wisdom acknowledges that conquering the self is harder than conquering the world. True victory comes not from domination, but from inner mastery. Wisdom shines brightest when used for others, not hoarded for the self. Franklin shared his wisdom through public projects, inventions, and institutions that lifted communities. Lincoln shared his wisdom through leadership, sacrificing personal peace for the survival of a nation. Wisdom is not selfish, it is service. The wise understand that knowledge locked away dies, but knowledge shared multiplies, shaping lives far beyond our own. Wisdom is endurance when others quit, vision when others doubt, calm when others panic. Franklin's endurance turned ridicule into respect as his discoveries transformed science. Lincoln's calm during crisis turned doubt into trust, anchoring a nation in storm. Wisdom is not merely brilliance, it is stability. The wise do not collapse when pressure mounts. They stand unshaken because wisdom roots them deeper than fear or despair. Wisdom does not seek perfection in circumstances, but clarity in choices. Franklin could not control every failure, but he could choose to learn. Lincoln could not control every tragedy, but he could choose to lead with integrity. Wisdom focuses not on what cannot be controlled, but on what can. The wise stop wasting energy on storms beyond their reach and instead strengthen the ship they steer. Wisdom turns pain into perspective, allowing suffering to birth compassion rather than bitterness. Franklin's struggles with poverty made him generous toward the poor. Lincoln's grief over lost children deepened his empathy for suffering families. Pain either hardens the heart or softens it. Wisdom chooses softness, turning wounds into wells of kindness. The wise do not escape pain, they redeem it, transforming their scars into strength for others. Wisdom proves that legacy is greater than reputation. Franklin's legacy was not his popularity, but the institutions he left behind. Lincoln's legacy was not fleeting applause, but a freer nation he helped shape. Reputation fades like smoke, but wisdom engraves itself into history's foundation. The wise live not for shallow praise, but for enduring impact. Wisdom ensures that what we build will outlive what others say. Wisdom is not instant, it requires patience. Franklin's experiments often spanned years, teaching him that insight ripens slowly. Lincoln's leadership evolved over decades of defeats and lessons, proving that true wisdom cannot be rushed. Patience is the currency of wisdom, and impatience its thief. The wise embrace the slow pace of growth, knowing that deep roots require time to become unshakable. Wisdom's final gift is peace. Franklin found peace not in wealth, but in contribution, resting in what he gave the world. Lincoln found peace not in comfort, but in conviction, knowing he stood for what was right. Wisdom grants peace because it reconciles failure with growth, pain with meaning, life with purpose. The wise die not with regret, but with quiet assurance that they lived fully, bravely, and true.